Hello and welcome to the Bortry Broadcast. My name is Corey Bortry. Today I'm going to give you a rundown of the U.S. Senate elections, and I'm going to tell you what I think will happen come November. If you find this video informative or useful, please leave a like and subscribe, and without further ado, here we go. I'm going to start with Arizona, a toss-up state. Honestly, I don't know what'll happen here, because one poll for Martha McSally had her up by 6. Another poll had her and Kyrsten Sinema equal. So, what will happen? I don't know. I would like to think this will happen, but if Democratic turnout is way higher than Republican turnout, like some people say it might be, it'll be this. Republicans in the state can make sure it goes Republican by making sure they bring a friend to the polls, but you know, that's a close one. So I'm going to leave that and come back to it in a moment. Same with Nevada. Montana, Jon Tester has held the lead for the whole way, unless something weird happens from now till Election Day, which is possible. We could see a huge swing in the other direction, but for now, this is my prediction for Montana. Jon Tester keeps it. North Dakota, Kevin Cramer has a huge lead over the incumbent Heidi Heitkamp. I do not see Heidi Heitkamp keeping this, especially after voting yet no on Kavanaugh, despite her state very much so wanting her to. So, I'm going to give this to the Republican. Texas, where Beto O'Rourke was supposed to flip Texas blue. Except as soon as we hit October, when the polls actually started meaning something, he fell way behind Cruz and he hasn't come back since. So basically it's like 2016 where they said Texas is turning blue, it didn't turn purple. Texas is turning purple, it doesn't turn purple. Next year Texas will be turning purple, it won't turn purple. Missouri. Right now Missouri is up by 1 for the Republican, Josh Hawley, but that could change at any time. I think the Democrats will keep Indiana because once again, it's been a hard race for the Republican. He's gained quite a bit, but still, the Democrat is up by 1. And because that hasn't changed a ton, it's really hard to say. But once again, that's also within the margin of error. So the Republican might be up by 2 and we wouldn't realize. So there we have 49 to 45. And there's a few states here that are still very competitive, except for Tennessee. Marsha Blackburn, in a recent poll, has jumped way ahead of her opponent challenger. One poll had her up by 14 points, another by 6 points, another by 9 points. The point is that Marsha Blackburn is going to go to Washington as a U.S. Senator, and I am pretty confident about that. Now, West Virginia. Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is an interesting case. He's actually the most conservative Democrat in the U.S. Senate with a constitutional voting rating of 32, next to most Democrats 15. So he is twice as conservative as any other Democrat on the U.S. Senate map. Despite Tina Smith, who hasn't been there long enough to actually vote against anything. Now, the latest poll has Joe Manchin up by 1. However, because Joe Manchin voted yes on Kavanaugh, I suspect turnout for Joe Manchin will not be as high as will be necessary to beat the Republican. The Republican may very well take that race. However, because the poll says he will keep the Senate seat, for the sake of this video, I'm going to give it to him. We'll say that Joe Manchin keeps his seat, and he very well may change to Republican after the election anyway. Florida, Bill Nelson versus Rick Scott. Now that's going to be an interesting race that I look forward to watching until election night, because it's gone back and forth a little. Right now it's a toss-up for me because we had one poll that a couple days ago that was Bill Nelson +1, and now Rick Scott's in the lead by 1. So now that's good for Rick Scott as Florida's governor because Bill Nelson's the incumbent. So that's very good for the challenger. But still, we can't give it to him just yet. In fact, I'm going to give it to Bill Nelson so that we can go back to the other states and have a reasonable map up here. Missouri. Josh Hawley is up by 1 in Missouri. That's not enough to be able to say that he will take it for sure. However, because of Claire McCaskill's recent vote against Brett Kavanaugh on the U.S. Senate, I feel that Josh Hawley has an advantage at taking the seat. So, we could be looking at a 51 majority in the U.S. Senate. Dean Heller, among likely voters, is right now 2 points ahead. And in Arizona, Martha McSally was up 6, and then another poll has her at a toss-up. But that's enough for me to suspect that Arizona is going to go red. And there we have it, about the map I think we're going to have on Election Day. I feel like Florida could go to Rick Scott, so we could have 54 to 46. This is my prediction for the U.S. Senate. I think Manchin keeps West Virginia. I think Scott flips Florida. I think Heller holds on to his seat barely. And I think the Democrats taking seats in Arizona and Texas and Tennessee is very unlikely. So there we go, 54 to 46. If you found this video informational and useful, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps me quite a bit. Thank you.